Smash! Hi guys! Happy Friday! It's a wonderful, wonderful day. We got a little more rain again last night. Nice, making everything green. It's one way to look at it. Hey, I'm smashing up some garlic. You guys know I like to smash up that garlic, set it aside, because it intensifies those healing properties, right? Let's work with some spaghetti squash. All right, I have a half a spaghetti squash here because the other half is magically in the oven. I didn't have two, so you have to just imagine there's the other half of the spaghetti squash here. So guys, who out there is working with spaghetti squash? Who's a lover of it? I know somebody on Facebook, Jenny, said that it's one of their favorite things to go to. Who doesn't eat spaghetti squash because one, they don't know what the hell it is, and two, they have no idea how to cut it? I mean, that's a thing too, I understand that. So here we go, spaghetti squash. Now, what a lot of people do with, first of all, spaghetti squash, it's a type of squash that you'll see when it comes out of the oven, it becomes real stringy, almost like little thin pieces of angel hair or little spaghettis. And so that's where it gets its name. Most people, when they do a spaghetti squash, are going to cut it right down the lengthwise middle here, and it's going to plop open, and you're going to have almost like two boats. Inside your squash, what you have is kind of like a pumpkin. You're going to have these seeds and all these little gooey pieces in the middle. You're going to scoop those out, and you could cook it so you have a boat, so you could kind of fill that spaghetti squash. Think about when we did the boats for the shepherd's pie with the sweet potatoes. You could put that shepherd's pie mix right in here. I'm going to show you a little different way to do this because the way that I'm going to show you gets much longer pieces or strings of spaghetti. So when you cut it in lengthwise this way, what's going to happen is you're shortening your spaghetti strings by half. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine too. But I thought, you know what? Why don't I show you just a little different way to do this where you can get longer pieces of spaghetti string. I'm actually going to cut myself just a little knob so that I have a flat surface, a little more of a flat surface, so it's not quite so rolly, so it's a little less dangerous, because squash can be hard to cut. Of course, having I'm going to turn on my stove over here. Having a knife that's super sharp really makes a difference, guys. People really do cut themselves more when they have a dull knife than you do with a sharp knife. And hello, Parker. Oh, guys, also, you notice my tie today? It was Tie Thursday yesterday, and for the first time I missed Tie Thursday. And I found Dave laying in bed, falling asleep, waiting for me because I was working quite late last night. And he had his tie on, waiting for our typical weekly picture. So I took his tie. I said, he was giving me a hard time for missing Tie Thursday. So I decided to do Tie Friday today. So yeah, I got Dave's tie on. Okay, what I want to do is I want to cut rings. Okay, so these rings are going to actually help your spaghetti squash have these much longer strands to them. You know, just an inch, a half an inch, however you'd want to do. And when I cut squash like this, just go nice and slow and think about kind of rocking your knife in there. Just don't try to force it too much, too fast. Just a nice little rocking effort. And then look at this, you get this beautiful, gorgeous ring like that. And then you can come in and do another one of these. I agree, cutting the squashes are sometimes the hardest part about working with them. I don't know if this one's gonna be totally straight, but nice and slow, that little rocking motion is gonna get you there. Just have a little patience. Now, if you get to the end and you just really feel like that's just too small of a piece to get to stand up and manage it, we can just roast the butt end, right? And then you have a little baby boat. Okay, with this guy, just like you would a pumpkin, you take a spoon and you scrape out just those inner guts. Now you can pick out your seeds, and you can toast your seeds too, again, just like you would a pumpkin. I'm gonna set those aside today. I take the rest of my inner guts and I actually put them in my broth bag. So I tell you, everything goes in. When you have these round guys, just use your spoon, and I think it's actually easier to clean when they're round like this. Let's see, Parker has a little question. Can you cook the squash so it's easier to peel and cut? Yeah, you absolutely can if you prefer. You could put the squash in the oven, the whole squash in the oven, give it some really good slits with a knife, so poke a knife in there to release some of that air so it doesn't, so it really doesn't blow up on you. You could throw it in the oven for about 15-20 minutes to get it softer and then cut it and continue the way we are too. That's another great way to do it. All right, let me just move over all that guy. Now we're just gonna roast these guys. So we have a pan, I've got parchment on my pan, and I use parchment for easier cleanup. So, and we don't want wax paper here, guys, right? Because that wax would actually melt into your food. We don't want that. I've got a little avocado oil. I like it for the high heat oil. And I'm just spritzing everything, and I'm giving it just a little rub. I love these spritzers for this reason. It's not too much oil. It gets you just enough. You could use coconut oil. You could use my all-time favorite ghee. Melt it first, right? And get that guy going. Get that guy a little bit. Might bop those hands. A little salt and pepper. That's all really this squash needs. Of course, you could do a little cumin. You could do a little chili powder. Do some Italian seasonings. You know, make it interesting. Make it your own. I'm going to sprinkle this with a little of that salt. Little pink, it's my pink Himalayan salt. Sea salt works great, just something that's not the white refined salt. Check my pan over here. And now these go in the oven. So let's drop these guys in the oven. Ooh, something's in there waiting for us. Okay, let's make a little filling to go on that. That spaghetti squash needs a little something to go on it. Just a little something. I actually will eat it. You know, I love pasta, just having a little butter or ghee and some salt and pepper on it. To me, it's delicious. So in this case, I thought, let's do something just a little bit more. I've got this piece of leek that's been hanging around, just begging me to use them up. So I went back and thought, what was the very first thing that I did here on this Facebook group? Or one of the very first things. I think it was the first thing. It was pasta and peas with some goat cheese. So I wanna recreate that using our spaghetti squash. Over here, I'm tossing in just a little olive oil here. Again, ghee. The avocado oil works great. And then I'm gonna put in leeks this time. I think in that first time we made the pasta and the peas, I used onions. And I had this leek, so I'm just gonna go with leek. It's a little, it's gonna give us a little more chew in our dish. TGIF Melissa, welcome for joining and thank you for joining us. Okay, Melissa, we're doing, and for those of you joining us, roasted spaghetti squash. I just put the squash in the oven, and now what I've got over here is I'm sauteing up just some leeks, something real simple. And get a little, let's get that a little going here, some of those guys. I'm gonna saute those up a little bit and let them break down. I'm going to chop this garlic clove, which I smashed already. And just a reminder that fresh garlic is best. I get this really great tip from my fellow health coach, functional medicine specialist, and chef Beth. Beth was talking yesterday on her Facebook group about when you're buying garlic, really looking for garlic that has purple in it, right? Give it that color. We're not looking for garlic that's really super white. If it's super white, there's a really good chance they've dyed it or bleached it because for some reason we just have these ideas in our mind of what food is supposed to look like. And it's not. Like, there's color in food. That's minerals. So when you're looking at your garlic at the grocery store, go ahead and buy the garlic that has the color to it. That's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. All right, I'm going to let those go for just another minute. What I'm doing is the peas and the pastas, the dish that we made on the very first video when we were together, I'm recreating it. So I'm using leeks today, and I'm going to add a pinch of salt in here. That helps to break it down, our food, early, and helps it cook, and it gets a consistent salty flavor happening in there. Just a little salt, not too salty, just salty. I'm going to put in I have some frozen peas. I didn't have a lot of peas left. I only had about barely a half a cup. What I did find is this little bit of spinach. So I drained my spinach. I'm letting it just sit there and drain, and I'm going to put these in here along with this garlic. We're going to add a little goat cheese on top. So next I'm going to put my garlic in. Remember, I don't like my garlic to be in there too long because garlic is fragile, and I want that really yummy flavor of the garlic to come through. Okay, that's it. And let me check in here. Black garlic is wonderful. So I love black garlic. Black garlic has been fermented, and it has an entirely different taste than a regular garlic. A black garlic is fermented for months and months at a time, and it has this really deep depth of flavor. You lose the harshness. It almost becomes sweet, and you almost get a chocolatey undertone out of it. So black garlic's great. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan. Oh, hey, this hasn't happened for a while. Someone's at the door. I gotta go get the door. Hello? Sure, door's open. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. Amazon was at the door. All right, so I'm adding my spinach in, and I want that, that's really cooked spinach already. I just warming it. I'm breaking that down a minute, and then I'm going to let that all cook for a minute. I'm going to add in my peas. But in the meantime, let's check that squash. Well, I got to go this way. My microphone's too short. Now, by the magic of Monique's kitchen, I've got the squash that's already done. This is the other half. I'm tangled. I'm all tangled in here. Hey guys, the extra liquid here that came out of my spinach, I'm going to save it. You know what I'm going to do with it, right? It's going into my broth. Yeah, totally. Okay, so if you're just joining us, I'm showing you a new way to cut a spaghetti squash. We did it in rounds. Instead of going the lengthwise, I created these little rounds. And look at, oh my God, look how gorgeous and roasted those are. It's beautiful. And yeah, they're a little warm, but my hands are kind of used to it. So this is what your boat would look like a little bit. That one's a little warmer. If you went a little more of that lengthwise. Over here. Now, in the beginning, when we made this dish originally, I cooked some pasta, so I had some pasta water to add to my dish over here, and I don't have any of that pasta water. So what I'm going to add, because my pan is just getting a little bit dry, I'm going to add a little of that spinach water. It's going to help deglaze the pan and keep things just a little moist. Nice. All right, I'm going to get a little more because my pan's getting a little hot. And then I'm going to throw my peas in here. Those peas just have to warm, so they don't even really need to cook, right? They just have to warm. So there we go. That's done. I'm going to turn that on low. Let me check in. Oh, Melissa says, never heard of black garlic. It is one of my absolute favorite things in the world. I use it. If you ever come to, if I do dinners on the roof again, it's a starter. It's one of my little amuse-bouche starters that I do for every single dinner is something with black garlic. I really just enjoy it. Thank you for noticing my tie, Elena. I missed tie Thursday yesterday, and Dave was giving me a hard time, so I said I'm going to wear Dave's tie today and get my tie on. Melissa, I buy, you can get black garlic. You used to be able to get it at the farmer's market, but I will put a link in for my favorite black garlic company. I'll pull I'll try to pull, if I can find it in the fridge, I'll pull my container of it out and you'll see. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, spaghetti squash, we're doing spaghetti rings today because they make longer strings. Now guys, you just let it cool for a minute because it is hot. You take your fork. Mine could cool for a few more minutes. It gets hotter when you release this because look at all that steam that's hiding in here. But you get these nice long strings of spaghetti when you do it in the little strings. But if you want more of a boat action, remember just do it lengthwise. Now I had these in the oven for, I think I cooked them for about 40 minutes. A lot of people are just overcooking their spaghetti squash. I think that's the one thing, is just do a little less because you need a little texture on these guys. All right, that one's a little too hot for me to work with. I need them to cool just a little bit more. I'll work on this guy. See how when I'm using my fork and I fluff it, you get these strings of spaghetti? This is why I like the rings, because they're a little bit longer. All right, there we go. Fluff that guy up a little bit. Get him going. Now all I need is to finish off my goo. You could put this in a bowl, or since I have this one little bowl right here out of my squash, I'm going to put it right in that. I didn't get let's put a little goat cheese in here. It's gonna kind of melt and create a little bit of a sauce, right? Of course you could use Parmesan. I like that tanginess that goat cheese offers. It's sort of a nice little contrast to all of our green veggies. Oh yeah, that's looking lovely. I always wish I could create smell-o-vision for you guys because it's smelling good. Now here again, I almost want just a tiny bit of liquid, so I'm gonna add a little more. I told you I was gonna save that spinach juice for my broth, but I didn't even need to save it. I used it all. Look at how amazing this looks. Right, we've got spinach, we have peas, we have leeks. It's going right in the middle of that squash. Super healthy, super yummy, super delicious. Let's put a few pine nuts, toasted pine nuts across the top. I'm gonna do, I love a little finishing salt, so you get a few of those just bigger flaky salt pieces in there. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is a little lemon zest. Checking in. Parker says Amazon sells garlic powder too. It does, black garlic. Okay, I just thought, you know how I like to taste my food. Oh yeah, I really like the spinach in there. A little lemon zest across the top is gonna make this whole thing just pop a little bit more. So you can, again, you can make those lengthwise boats. I'm not finished chewing. You can do the rings like I'm doing and just and then just scoop them out of the ring because you get a better long noodle, and then just put them in a little dish. You could just drop them in a dish and pile your spinach dip on top, or put it right inside of your boat. That's the spinach, pea, goat cheese, and leeks, and it's delicious, and I can't wait to eat. Awesome. So guys, it's Friday. It's Memorial Weekend. I know it seems a little odd because not everything is open, but we're getting there. This morning I asked you guys what you're doing, something that just brings you joy. So what are you planning on doing this weekend? I'm gonna do gardening. I'm super excited. I'm gonna share a bunch of pictures I have of my of what's happening on the roof already. There's a ton of things already growing, but I need to finish off the roof. So that's what I'm doing. I hope you guys find just something. Do something that brings you joy. If it's going for a walk, if it's reading a book, if you need to do a little gardening, go buy a little potted plant, right? You can get these things. And oh, don't forget, Wellness Sunday. So I know I'd love to see you guys get outside this weekend, but in Chicago it's looking a little bit like rain. So you could start your morning with Jennifer and myself with a little yoga and brunch. We'll send you the recipe after. And if it's too late to get ingredients, I'm just going to talk you through whatever you have, or you'll have that recipe for later. Then in the afternoon, we've got a dance work session with Sue Koch, who showed us how to do planks and push-ups the other day. And then we're wrapping up our wellness day with a second yoga class and dinner. It's a great way to just give yourself a full day of self-care. And if you really want to take it to another level, I'm doing a 5-day reset after that as well too. You'll get access to recipes and a guide list and some intermittent fasting for the week just to clean the body up and get it ready for just to give it a break and get it ready for summer. Awesome. Okay, anything else? Oh, would it also pair well with your roasted tomatoes? This would go amazing with those roasted tomatoes for sure. You could even hit a little drizzle of like a really nice thick balsamic vinegar across the top of all of it with the tomatoes on. It'd be great. Or just the tomatoes without the spinach goo is great as well. Melissa says she's getting some herbs and flowers this morning. That's awesome. I'll share the link to sign up in the comments tab again in case you've missed it in our page. So I'll make sure that that's in the comments tab. So if you want to sign up for anything on Wellness Sunday or the Reset. Okay, guys. Well, as always, I appreciate you guys joining me. I hope you learn a little something that you can use, something tasty that you can that you'll make, and let me know how it goes. And use up little bits and pieces from your freezer and drop them into some low carb, very nutritious spaghetti squash. Right? Think of spaghetti and meatballs. You could even put meatballs in there. Awesome. I'm sending you guys so much love. I'll be back on Saturday tomorrow. I don't know what I'm making yet. But Sunday, I won't be doing a live on Sunday because we'll be doing Wellness Sunday. So I will see you tomorrow and have an amazing, amazing Friday. Bye, everyone. I'm sending you so much love. Bye.